audience. One's virtual.
Okay. So I want you all to imagine being thrown in jail for possessing a plant. A plant that uses chronic pain, soothes anxiety, and helps cancer patients get through chemotherapy. A plant that science has proven to be safer than alcohol or tobacco. And yet this plant, marijuana, is illegal in many parts of the US. And people are still being arrested for simply just having it in their possession. So according to the American Liberties Civil Union, marijuana arrests make up over half of all drug arrests in the United States. And get this, most of those are just for possession. And it's even more disturbing that Black Americans get arrested four times more as likely than white Americans would be, despite using it at similar rates. And that's not just unfair, that's a whole broken system. So we have to ask ourselves, who is really benefiting from keeping it illegal? Because it's not these communities that are being criminalized, and it's not the patients that are being denied access to relief. So tonight, I just want to challenge that system. I'm going to show you how criminalizing marijuana does more harm than good, how legalization makes marijuana safer and more effective, and how our economy and justice system both stand to benefit from a smarter and more compassionate approach. But before we talk about the future, we need to look at the damage caused by the past. And that begins with the harmful impact of criminalization. So let's talk about what happens when we criminalize marijuana. So first off, we see mass incarceration, and it's not happening equally. The ACLU reports that between 2001 to 2010, over 8 million marijuana arrests were made. That's 8 million people whose lives were impacted, and the majority of those were just for possession. And as I mentioned earlier, it's the Black and Latino communities that are being disproportionately bearing the brunt of this enforcement. And they're the ones facing harsher penalties and longer lasting consequences. And those consequences aren't just legal, but they're really personal. Like imagine missing out on a job opportunity because of a past possession charge, or imagine being denied housing or scholarships, not because of a felony or violent crime, but because you were caught with a small amount of cannabis. And unfortunately, that's the reality for millions. So, even one possession charge can stick to the person for life. And that damages the opportunities that were never meant to be taken away for something so small. And what's worst of all is that prison doesn't help. The Drug Policy Alliance actually points out that locking people up for marijuana doesn't address the root reasons that people use it, whether that could be for pain relief, mental health, or addiction. Instead, it just traps people in this cycle of punishment without giving them any options to heal. So that kind of changes the question. If the law is hurting more than it's helping, why are we still doing it? Is it really about safety, or is it about the stigma and outdated policy? So that brings us to what legalization actually looks like. Because contrary to belief, legalizing marijuana doesn't unleash disorder, it creates structure, regulation, and safety. So just like how we regulate alcohol or tobacco, legal marijuana can be sold with age restrictions, ingredient labels, and safety testing. So that means consumers can know exactly what they're getting, and that's a lot safer than just buying it off the street. Like the CDC explains that legal marijuana markets, they can test for potency, purity, and contaminants, and that ensures the quality and protects users from harm. So, without legalization, there's no oversight for any of that, no sort of safety net. So you're just putting your health in the hands of an unregulated black market. But beyond safety, legalization also helps with our health. Marijuana has been shown to relieve chronic pain, reduce anxiety, and even lower opioid overdose deaths. And a study in JAMA Internal Medicine found that states with medical marijuana laws have 25% fewer opioid deaths. And that's huge, considering our ongoing opioid crisis. And it's not just anecdotal, it's public health data that's speaking loud and clear right now. And you might be wondering, what about teens? Does legalization make it easier for them to access marijuana? And the answer is no. According to the National Survey on Drug Use and Health, teen use has not gone up in states where marijuana is legal, and in some places it's actually gone down. And why is that? Because regulation works. Stores check IDs, products are tracked, and that creates less incentive for underground sales to minors when there's a legal license option for adults. So when we regulate marijuana, we're not only protecting public health, but we could also be opening doors to major economic and social opportunities. So let's talk numbers. In 2023, marijuana sales generated over $4.7 billion in tax revenue. That's money that can go to schools, healthcare, infrastructure, you name it. Legal marijuana can also support hundreds of thousands of jobs across agriculture, retail, and healthcare. And this isn't just a social issue, it's an economic one, and it's definitely working. But beyond the dollars, there's the cost we're saving too. According to the Cato Institute, enforcing marijuana laws cost about $8 billion a year. Imagine what we could be doing with that money. We could be investing in education, investing in treatment programs for these people, or supporting housing for those in need. And, with fewer arrests, our justice system also becomes more fair and more efficient. So when we decriminalize marijuana, we reduce overcrowding prisons, and we're allowing law enforcement to be able to focus on serious crimes rather than all these low-level drug offenses, and most of which were just possession only. So the main point is that legalization isn't just about encouraging use, it's about making this responsible choice that reflects our reality, because marijuana is here, and people are here and people are using it. So the question is whether do we want to manage it through justice or injustice, and do we want to help through structure or punishment? I think we see the answer between those options. So today, I've shown you why marijuana criminalization is unjust, how legalization improves safety and health outcomes, and how it strengthens our economy and communities. And this isn't just about a plant, it's about people and fairness. And here's where you can all come in. You could go to congress.gov and search for the MORE Act. That's the Marijuana Opportunity Reinvestment and Expungement Act. That's a legislation that would decriminalize marijuana at the federal level and begin to repair some of the harm caused by decades of prohibition. So then you can contact your local and federal representatives. You can call, email, tag them on social media, and tell them that you support marijuana reform. You could talk to your friends, talk to your family, get informed yourself, and help others understand what's at stake here. And most importantly, vote. Vote in every election, ballot measure, initiative, and just use your voice to support policies that could be helping us moving forward. Because when we legalize marijuana, and we're not just changing laws, we're changing lives. You're supporting a future that's safer, healthier, and more just. Thank you.